Hey Animlovers, welcome to another channel video. In today's video we are going to talk about an anime called Kakaku no Regios. For more videos like this, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to our channel. In a flashback, creatures called Osenju were approaching the city. We see several civilians who are very afraid of these creatures invade the vehicle they were in. The pilot instructed them to take it easy, and that this vehicle they were in was designed to withstand the attacks of these creatures. In one escape compartment, the doors did not open, causing one of the vehicles to crash into the city escape door. Three powerful fighters, called Tenkin, are also known as Celestial Sword. These three warriors begin to fight against a giant contaminoid called Limbikun that has attacked a region. Using fighting tools, these three men begin to fight the creature, the youngest carrying a sword, another warrior carrying a maneuver, and the oldest carrying gloves that were capable of manipulating magical and resistant threats. After they manage to defeat the great creature, the younger hero kisses the princess of this city, in which they show they already know each other, and leaves on a futuristic train to his next destination. In the present, we see two characters talking. The blonde character says that if he quit the 17th platoon, what would become of them? Then the other blue-haired character replies that it will benefit her, as her skills would be better used in another platoon. She then asks for time to be able to change his mind. So she pulls out a sword, and in response to this act of hers, the other character takes out his badge and says that if she tries to do anything against him, her platoon will be disbanded. She tries to go after him, but one of her companions stops her, telling Nina to calm down. Then Nina says that she will do everything she can to make sure that the 17th platoon still remains active, no matter what way it takes. Nina, together with her platoon mates, go around the school looking for a new recruit to fill the vacant position, looking at several new students to find the perfect one. Leifon arrives in Swalney when two students start a fight and cause a building to collapse on another student, Mason Torrendon. After receiving a telepathic command to save her, Leifon carries her away from the building with incredible speed. After the confusion, he meets with the student body president, Kellyon Loss, who forces him to join a military science platoon until Nina, who had witnessed Leifon saving Mason, comes along and is impressed with his abilities. Nina then decides to recruit Leifon to the 17th platoon. After Nina has dropped Leifon off at the bus stop, she says goodbye to him and says that the uniform suits him very well, so she says goodbye. As Leifon watches Nina leave, he notices something strange. He sees a girl next to him who is angry because she failed one of her spells. Leifon decides to approach her, so he meets Feli Loss, another member of the 17th platoon who sent Leifon the telepathic message earlier. Without many words, Feli Loss just walks away from Leifon, walking calmly as if he is not there, which leaves him very confused, but goes back to his apartment trying to understand what had happened. That night, Leifon remembers that he was one of the fighters wielding the Blade of Heaven against the giant Limbikun in the past. After witnessing a flashback of what had happened in the battle, he awakens. The next day, Nina recalls a combat exercise set in a flag capture scenario. As she was about to capture the enemy team's flag, an explosion happens, but before Nina could get hurt, one of her teammates saves her. However, this caused her team to lose, which made her angry. Nina didn't understand the situation. She didn't realize that her teammate had saved her life. Nina was only thinking about winning this competition no matter what the risks. In the present, we see the 17th platoon waiting for Leifon, who was late. They were beginning to speculate what might have happened to him, until a few minutes later he appears. Nina introduces Leifon to the members of the 17th platoon, starting with Sniper Sharnetta Lipton, Mechanic Dites Harley, Psychokinesist Feli Loss, and finally she formally introduces herself to him as Nina Antok, the platoon leader. After the introduction, Harley gives Leifon training diets and Nina says that she will test him in a fight to see how strong he is. Leifon initially manages to defend and even demonstrates that Nina was letting his guard down, until Nina decides to use external type Blast Kai, creating a wave of energy that pushes Leifon against the wall, causing him to be defeated. After taking him to the infirmary, Feli uses her powers to heal and wake Leifon. Leifon wakes up startled with her on top of him, so he falls out of bed, hitting his head on the floor. Feli says that this fall must not have caused any pain in his body, as he has a large amount of internal type Flow K for recovery. Feli then leaves the infirmary and goes into town. Still confused by what had happened, Leifon follows her, calling her to talk again. Feli says that she now understands the reasons why her brother had put him in the military arts section. He had planned that mess among the students so that he could manipulate Leifon into joining the 17th platoon, because her brother was the council representative, so he possessed that ability. She then says that he was pretending to be an idiot on purpose, because he had allowed Captain Nina to hit him with the explosion on purpose, knowing that Leifon could easily defend that attack. Feli questions him, asking if he knows what a psychokinesis is, explaining that her role is to move things using her invisible hands and gather information. She can also see invisible things and can communicate with people at a distance using telepathy. This ability of his could not be acquired through training. One had to be born with it, and it is something that only a few people possess. Feli adds that his ability is of an extremely high level, and for this reason, her brother forced her to join the military arts section, because he wanted his younger sister to use her skills for Zwalni, giving her no choice. He ends the conversation by saying that his brother will do everything he can to win, no matter what he has to sacrifice or how cowardly he has to be to achieve his goal. And for this reason, Feli feels that Leifon must pretend to be weak so that her brother doesn't find out about all his capabilities. After some time, Leifon meets up with Nina during her part-time job and forces him to help while they talk. During their conversation, Nina reveals that she ran away from her parents to learn the military arts in Zwalni, as it was the only place she could go. The next day, the 17th Platoon entered a flag capture battle scenario against the 16th Platoon. Leifon is very tired from not being able to sleep properly, but he was still forced to participate in this competition. After Nina confronts her former companion, who is now part of the 16th Platoon, she explains that the result of this match will decide their position in the intercolonial battles, so they couldn't lose. During this match, they are at a complete disadvantage. The enemy team is very powerful. Leifon thinks about using all his strength to fight against them, but remembers that he needs to count his strength. When Nina is about to be defeated, Feli sends Nina's thoughts to Leifon, who uses a powerful golden streak of K that forms a hurricane, managing to defeat all the members of the 16th Platoon, leaving everyone who was watching this fight amazed at Leifon's incredible strength. After succeeding in defeating the enemies, Leifon saves Nina and manages to get the flag, managing to make the 17th Platoon win this competition, making all the spectators happy. All male members of the team are happy except Nina and Feli. They are disappointed in Leighton. They go their separate ways after the battle, disappointed that he has unleashed his full strength. Some time after this fight, in the proto-city of Glendon, Liren Marfs meets Sinola Lessler, who is lying with her eyes closed next to a tree. Sinola is very playful, saying that I'm sure the two of them have become great friends, and then she starts to tease Liren, making a joke in which Liren is embarrassed. Nina and Feli are still irritated with Leifon, so he decides not to bother them. Leifon decides to go to another environment of the college to try to forget this mess he was in. Meanwhile, in Zwalni, Kellion comes up behind Leifon, saying that he expected no less from a Blade of Heaven, being one of the 12 strongest in the encapsulated city of Grendon. He then questions Leifon about why he continues to work on machines when his tuition has already been waived. Without telling Kalen much important information, Leifon says he didn't want to talk to him, so he leaves his presence. Leifon, after having the conversation with Kalen, goes to Nina to talk to her while she was finishing her work. After meeting with Nina, he explains that he wants to start a new life without always having to fight. For this reason, he was holding back, leaving Nina impressed and forgiving him. Until the town alarm begins to sound. A group of cloaked hunters have captured Zwalni, the electronic spirit of the town, in the form of a blue girl. A mysterious orange-haired stranger, later recognized as Dixirio Muscane, appears, transporting them and Nina to an alternate dimension, preventing Leifon from seeing what was happening between them. Inside this dimension, Nina and Dixirio defeat the cloaked hunters and save Zwalni, but not long before Dixirio uses his K energy to put Nina to sleep. After this fight is over, Nina's body and Zwalni's body return to where they originally were. Leifon holds Nina's body unconscious while watching that spirit watching him. Upon seeing Leifon, Zwalni gives him a smile and flies to the top of the place, disappearing into the darkness, leaving Leifon alone with Nina's unconscious body. Still passed out, Nina begins to remember when she was a little girl. She sees a guy putting a newborn electronic fairy in a cage, so she tries to help her, grabbing onto the man in an attempt to free her. During an exchange of skills, the fairy manages to free herself, but Nina falls from a very high place, causing her body to be totally broken and with several bruises. A yellow light appears, revealing several small fairies and a large one named Sh Nebel. This fairy heals her with an energy sphere, giving her life to save Nina's, leaving the girl alone and crying in the midst of destruction. While Nina is recovering, Harley Sutton tells Leifon about this event of Nina's, which has made her change her ideas completely, wishing to become stronger in order to be able to protect the weak. While Leifon is returning home, he meets Miffy Rotten and Naruki Jelny, bringing Machen along with him, causing a dialogue in which Leifon is embarrassed by this situation, until Feli appears, who had intended to leave, but ended up being betrayed by the girls. Feli later, while on the bus together with Leifon, she forgives him for what happened in the platoon match earlier, but in exchange for assigning nicknames to each other as a result. As Feli uses her psychokinetic powers, she detects a large dragon in the distance. Then comes a flashback. Elaine Garfield rescues a young girl named Saya from attackers as they try to escape from a compound. In a flashback, Saya and Elaine become Rami's bodyguards, assigned to escape two cars chasing them. Back in the present, Sharnada Lifton takes Leifon to a cafe for maids, and it turns out that Feli works there. While Leifon was at the high school restaurant, he sees Feli working as a waitress. Feli reveals to him that she works there to choose her own path in life. However, it was not a job that brought her happiness. While having dinner at a bakery, Feli overhears Miffy, Naruki, and Meishin talking about the investigation of an abandoned, supposedly haunted research center, and she decides to accompany them. As they go deeper into the building, the three are suddenly captured by a strange creature, and Feli is rescued by Vanze Hardy, who reveals that the closure of the center was caused by repeatedly failed experiments that were performed years ago. After the two find the creature again, Feli crushes it, causing the ceiling to collapse as Vanze delivers the final blow. Vanze decides to cover up the incident by telling the girls that they were knocked out by leaking chemicals. Leifon accompanies Feli to a bridge to talk to her, where he finally sees her smile for the first time, but is kicked by her for seeing him after he shows a look of astonishment at seeing this scene. Annoyed, she leaves for her home, leaving Leifon alone.